Hi, I'm Marcia Kristen, and this is Heart Connected Communication. This is where you get to learn relationship skills for interpersonal, interpersonal, and systemic change that's going to create a more peaceful world. So in today's video, we're going to look at working with regret. It's one of my most favorite practices since we need it so much when we need to go back and clean up the mess. And it's some of the inner work we need to do to prep for that. And it's something that can help us, even if we're not going to express our regret, just to work with the inner conflict within us and to be able to work with the really kind of harsh inner critic that isn't really helping us take responsibility. So let's get to the heart of it. All right, so today I have a little practice for you. So I created a little worksheet on this video so you can see it. So get a pen and paper or pause and work with it as you go. This is the process for working with regret. So in the process of working with regret, we often have parts inside of us. We have various different reactions to things. And one of our parts tends to be an educator, or what we think of as the harsh inner critic. And it can be really important to have. And yet sometimes it's so harsh, it's so critical that we can't have any benefit from the regret. We actually stay in a cycle of guilt, or you even go to shame. And it's actually, that's the least likely for us to learn and grow and be able to repair relationships. So we're going to be working with that one we call the educator. And then we also have the chooser, the one who made the choices in the first place, that had intentions to meet needs or made a choice. And so we have that inside of us too. And that part can either feel very guilty, or it also could feel very defensive. Often it's, I was doing my best, look at me. I tried my best, they didn't know. So how do we take both those parts of us and actually move ourselves towards a more beneficial regret where we can have the learning? After all, that's what we're hoping for. But sometimes these parts of us don't actually help us get there. So nonviolent communication can help us with that. So we're going to look at this educator, this harsh inner critic. And it may come out with lots of judgments about us. And its job is to bring attention to things that are important, to things that we value that maybe we're not in alignment. And yet it can come across quite with a critical voice, especially in our culture that is so judgmental, critical, blaming. And we often have thought that, oh, we need this inner critic to be there because otherwise we won't learn. Well, actually, it's been found that when we have an environment that is super stressful and there's a lot of criticism and blame, it actually is less likely for us to learn because we go into guilt and shame or super defensiveness. Now we don't get the learning. So we'd like to try to translate what the educator has to say, since its job is to bring attention to something that's important. And then we also want to get to know the chooser and empathize with that part. What were the needs that we were trying to meet? Okay, and then we'll look at the process of moving on to what we could have done and coming back into a place of seeing what we can do now. But first, let's go over to our little dance floor here. So when we're doing this kind of mediation and internal mediation between our educator and our chooser, the language is sometimes the jackal in nonviolent communication. It's a symbol for that part that's maybe judgmental, but it also howls at us and can really nip at our heels about what's important. And the jackal is really a very important part in the animal kingdom, kind of going through and cleaning up the mess and taking care of things. So you can decide if you want to speak with the inner educator first or empathize with the inner chooser. A lot of times, the inner educator is the louder voice. So when we come here, we can step here, and our intention is for connection. And these dance floors are something that you could actually have on the floor and walk through them to get a felt sense of it, or you can do it even with your fingers. So if I am here with my little self dot here, I'm going to listen to what are the judgments that the educator has. I'm actually going to look at what happened. what are my thoughts and judgments about it? And I might connect with those. I might voice them out loud. I might write them down. What are some of those judgments? It might be that I came into the room and I said something like, "What are you doing?" to someone that I have a relationship with, maybe a family member, maybe a work person, maybe a person I don't even know. In any case, let's say I came in the room and said that. What would be my judgments about that? It might be, well, what were you saying? That sounded really harsh. You sounded so judgmental. That wasn't very considerate. Why are you always so picky? Why do you have to be so critical? Um, they didn't enjoy what you said at all. You just started an argument. What's your problem? Any of those judgments, I might notice. Wow, you really are mean and self centered, whatever it might be. And then I might take a breath, notice what those are. I'm going to observe those judgments. Part of the nonviolent communication model of observations. I'm going to notice, what was I thinking? What am I telling myself about what happened that I have regret about? And then I might look with kind of a heart centered space of, what do I want to translate? What feelings and needs might be up for the educator? Maybe the educator part of me is feeling really frustrated. Maybe I'm feeling embarrassed, guilty, sad. Maybe I have a feeling of disappointment because I really value consideration, really value perspective and mindfulness, care, a sense of pausing before something tumbles out of my mouth so that I can be living my values of respect and consideration, maybe being in integrity. Maybe I have a role or my words carry more weight. So I would like to be more thoughtful. So those are some of the feelings and needs that might be connected with the educator. And that might be more connecting for me to get in touch with those. And then I might go to here, the inner chooser. And that might be, again, the judgments about what were the needs I was trying to meet. Okay, so if we go back to, we've been here, what are the needs that were not met? What's the impact? And then with the chooser, what are the judgments that I'm telling myself? And what are the needs that I was trying to meet? Okay. So right here, my judgments. Well, I wasn't paying much attention. I was just thinking about what was going on and I was confused. I had concern. I was really worried. I really didn't know what was going to happen. I was scared for what was going to happen next. I was a little bit feeling irritated. So I kind of moved to, what were my feelings and needs, the chooser part of me. What was I feeling? What were the needs I was trying to meet? Oh, I was feeling concerned. So I was trying to maybe protect. I also wanted some understanding, maybe some connection and communication. Wanted to be heard for my concern. Maybe I was really wanting care. Maybe I actually was wanting to contribute to something, maybe something being safer, maybe seen for my knowledge, maybe it's being heard, being seen. So I get to the feelings and needs of the inner chooser. And then when I get to the inner mediator, that's that caring place where I can hold all the needs with care. The ones that weren't met, the ones I was trying to meet. Kind of let them come together, in a sense, bring them all into my heart. In my heart space, moving away from my thinking brain. How am I feeling now that I'm connected with those needs? Is there mourning that needs to happen? So longing to find ways to meet all the needs with care and have compassion so that I can be responsible for any impact I've had, with also having compassion enough for myself where I don't slink into shame or guilt so far that I'm not able to have connection with myself or with others and aren't able to make amends. So I can kind of hold all those needs and swirl them together. Take moments to breathe those in or be with them in whatever way works for you. And then I can look at this place of, all right, now that I know this, now that I've really connected to the heart of it, I'm going to go back to here. What could I have done differently that could have met the needs, met all the needs? There's many needs as possible. And I might have some ideas of what that might sound like. I may be willing to just sit and see what emerges with that over time. But we'll leave some room for that wisdom to emerge from that connection with the needs. And then that might move me to, is there anything I would like to do now? Is there anything I'd like to do for reparations or making amends? Is there some regret I'd like to express? Would I like to practice that? Maybe it's, do I need more empathy for the needs that were not met and the needs I was trying to meet? And kind of with that sense of my hands open, having spaciousness, room. Is there any request to myself to bring myself kind of back to wholeness, seeing my whole humanity and honoring that, and also holding the responsibility for the impact I may have had? And I'll do another video about how to express regret, maybe give you a little bit of a map to make that a process that might be more connecting and more caring for your relationships. In the meantime, I hope that you've enjoyed this little dance floor of working with regret and a little bit of a map of ways that you can come back to beneficial regret. Thanks for being with me, and I will see you next time. In the meantime, take care of your heart.